what it bypasses is the 0 to about halfway over.
Yeah.
So that's typically the hardest part of the rollover, right? But if you still want to teach somebody all that beautiful spine articulation, this really gives it, and then it actually takes you into hyperextension. So very similar to your mat work, right? So you're going to bend your knees, and it's going to be that, you know, slight 45-degree angle. If that's really stressful because of the spinal position, I would say keep it really minimal. But you're going to take your legs to 90. You can use your arms for an assist, and then slowly start to peel the pelvis off into your typical rollover, right? Ooh, nice. Basically, your shoulder girdle roughly stays in contact. Good. So you're going to separate the legs, flex the feet, try to reach your feet toward the floor. They don't need to touch. And then you're going to slowly roll. Really feel how your back lays onto the spine corrector. Feel the pelvis come to extension. Exactly. And then you're going to point and close on that small slant. So you would inhale to vertical just like you normally would. You're going to exhale as you peel. Again, feel like it's spinal articulation, not a hip flexor drop. Then you're going to separate flex, lower with control, and then keep them down there as you slowly roll down with an exhale.
So you don't do the loop on the...
That is the loop. Okay. Yeah. But it's so extreme sometimes. So you inhale, exhale to roll over, right? You want to try it one more time? Sure. Okay. So you inhale to 90. You exhale to roll over. Right? You inhale when you flex and separate and slightly drop with control, and then you'll exhale as you roll back down. I think it's exactly the same as your mat work. And then she would slightly tip away, point, and close. And then bend and take a break. That was beautiful.
Oh, I like
Doesn't
that.
it? Yeah, it feels nice. You know, it's like, sometimes it's a fear factor. Rollovers can just be very intimidating. I find it to be a pretty intermediate exercise. Okay. Corkscrew and corkscrew advanced. Same thing. These are actually really good. Page 14, I believe. Let's see what mine is. Page 5. Do you want to try this one? Sure. Okay. This one's a good one. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, scooch it to the floor and roll on back. It gives you some really good pelvis awareness. And you'll see why, because you'll feel your bottom really make contact onto this guy. So it's very similar to your mat work, again, where you're just going to do almost like that supine knee sway with straight legs. And then you're going to sweep your legs down and around, like out of your way. Right, to a shallow diagonal, and then you'll come back to vertical. Yeah, and then you'll reverse it, right? So it's like that supine leg sway. You'll sweep it down and around.
And the hip comes up?
It does, just like your mat work, right? So this hip would be slightly off, and then you'll come back to center, right? So you inhale, there's small spinal and pelvis rotation. Exhale as you sweep it out and around, and back, right? So you would inhale to sway, and then exhale it down and around. Beautiful control, yeah? And then back, and then again, gently bend your knees. So how does that feel different to mat work?
Well, it's so much more supportive.
It is more supportive, right?
This is like a big assist.
It is a big assist.
It is a big
Yeah.
assist.
Yeah. Do you want to try to do advanced corkscrew since I've got you here?
Might as well.
Okay, you might need to scoot up a little bit. Okay, so just like, you know, we talked about corkscrew on the floor just a minute ago. If you have a hard time with rollovers, corkscrew advanced is very doable on here, right? So it starts off in a rollover. So you have taught rollover at this point, so it makes sense to add this as a layering. So you do your rollover, and the book shows that he has his feet flexed and his legs are low. But let's say you were going to do this right after they did rollovers. That would make sense, right? So the legs would slightly lift as you angle them towards one shoulder, right? And then you're going to roll down. So you kind of end in your corkscrew. The legs will sway over to the other shoulder or corner, and then you're going to roll back up and over. Woo. And then you're going to come back to center.
Can I keep my feet flexed the whole time?
Great question. No, they're pointed. So you'll shift to the one corner, right, one shoulder. You'll roll down. You might feel one side of your back make more contact with the other. It's just like your corkscrew. You'll sway to the other side, but then you roll over. And then you pause and center. Yeah? And then you can come on down through center. So you do alternate directions pretty much every time. Yeah, you good. Slide on down. If the breath is you would move your legs to the diagonal on one. You're going to exhale as you roll. You'll be rolling down as your legs sweep to the diagonal. You'll circle them around just like your corkscrew. You're still exhaling as you're doing your second rollover back to center. It's a long exhale, right? So you can't go too slow, or else you're going to lose your breath. But you kind of always stop and center, regroup, reverse it. With this one, when you do the rollovers or the corkscrew advance, this is a narrow surface, so it really does rein people in. So if people are, like what we were talking about earlier, doing like maybe more side bending or maybe excessive rotation, they will fall off the edge. And then you're like, oh, all right, let's pull it a little smaller, take in a little bit. So that would be kind of the biggest thing you'll notice. And then the thud. Like people will roll down and then they'll have this thud, and it's because they've lost their articulation, especially with the corkscrew advance, because you're adding that component of rotation and a little side bend. People will flatten out. So you have all this time to really make sure you articulate the descent.
These are all generally advanced moves, correct? That we're doing?
You know, it's in your mat work.
It's intermediate.
I mean, it is part of your advanced mat work. So I would say it would be the step before you did that advanced mat work.
Okay.
Right? This would be like the preparatory to
Okay.
executing the mat work well. Okay, so last one, back extension, Swan. Your book says it's on page 17. So does mine. That's so exciting. Only one.
You want Swan prep?
It's just Swan. It's just called Swan.
Okay.
Okay. I think we're on to you. You
Is there
okay?
Swan prep and Swan there?
There is
There's only
Swan prep,
Oh, you
Yeah.
have a Swan prep.
which is 16.
Oh, I didn't have Swan prep. Okay, let's do Swan prep then.
Oh, we've already
Not
done
on
it.
it.
Yeah, okay, we've done it. So it's not listed in there. Never mind.
Oh, okay. Rick, do you mind?
No.
Okay. So it's kind of a little funny setup. Again, it depends on people's bodies proportions. Again, I like how these are a little bit longer. This will be a good one for you because it's a little bit shallow. But you're going to slowly kind of like bend down, grab onto the sides, and you're going to lie down prone. Yeah, it's helpful to bend your knees and grip. Yeah, and slide your way on down. Okay. Scooch back a little bit. So essentially your knees are going to be like right on the edge of the press. I will find that these guys are made out of a hard foam. You can just relax your arms for a second. They're made out of a hard foam. They can be really hard for some people, like bony wise. So sometimes laying a mat over it. I think you guys have done that in the past if it's a little too rough. Okay, so the knees are just ever so slightly bent, resting on the crest, and your legs are actually turned out with your feet flexed, and you're grounding into the floor. I'm sorry you don't have any mat.
That's all right.
There. Your hands are clasped behind your head. And you're kind of draping yourself over. So let the elbows hang and let yourself drape. So that's actually your setup, right? So it's very similar to Swan. You're going to kind of ground through your feet. Your knees might stretch a little bit, and you're just going to lift up to Swan. It's your chest lift, right? You're going to stay here. You're actually going to extend your arms in line with your ears, palms face in, and your feet are going to float off with pointed toes. It's rough. Don't stay there too long. Clasp your hands behind your head, lower your feet, and lower your spine. Because it's a lot in the shoulders, I would say take your arms a little lower and maybe even keep them a little bit bent. That sound okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're grounded here. And then same thing, you're gonna lift to Swan. Think of scooping your sternum forward and up. Wrap the elbows a little bit forward. That's gonna help you. And then you're gonna extend your arms. Yes, and then float your toes. Oh, and then clasp your hands behind your head, lower the feet, and lower the spine. Did that feel a little better?
Yeah.
Do you have one more in you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, toes are flipped over. So the knees can be slightly resting here, right? Okay, so same thing. You're gonna inhale as you lift up into swan. Good. You're gonna exhale as you extend your arms, point your toes, lift, drop your shoulder girdle, down, 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 down. Don't lift higher. There you go. Clasp your hands behind your head. Lower the feet